The Chamberlain MyQ garage door, if you look to the top left, it's a hub that plugs into power, and it's a Wi-Fi hub, so it connects to Wi-Fi. And then that small piece goes on the garage door, and you can access the app on your phone, and you can send a signal. It sends a signal to the main hub here, and this acts like your garage door opener that you have in your car. Sends a signal to your garage door motor. It opens up. This sensor knows the position if the door is open or closed, and it'll tell you if the door opens successfully or not. So pretty neat. I have this and it works wonders. However, this does need to be super secure, because if the access got into the wrong hands, anybody could open my garage door and have entry to my home. Same with the locks. These also need super high security, because they don't even have to kick down the door if they can just go in the app and open it by themselves. This is just a comparison of the locks. I also wanted to call out that some of these need a hub, some don't. So the Quickset does need a hub, it's not included, and the Yale doesn't have a hub either. In the hub, you can do like the SmartThings hub, like I mentioned earlier. This will connect any Z-Wave or Zigbee device. Those are, you can get some from $50 all the way up to $100, depending on what you're looking for. Some incidents of IoT attacks. The MIRAI botnet. This was probably one of the biggest DDoS attacks in the history of DDoS. It was on Dyn, which is a large DNS. They used IoT botnet for that, and large parts of the internet went down throughout the world. The biggest websites that were affected were Twitter, Guardian, Netflix, Reddit, CNN. There was a huge list of different websites that were affected, though. Basically, the attackers had malware on the devices, and they basically established a connection and basically told all those devices to start pinging the DNS, which crippled the DNS for a few hours, which Dyn is supposed to stay up regardless of how much traffic it's getting. So the fact that it went down was a huge concern for security analysts, because that was never supposed to happen, and they were all shocked that this was able to be done with simple IoT devices. The second one was the TRENDNET webcam hack. It wasn't really a hack, but a vulnerability that was open for years. TRENDNET sold webcams, and what the developers didn't do was encrypt the traffic. So any password or username that was sent to the camera or from the camera through the web was not encrypted at all. It was viewable in plain text files. So if you're using Wireshark, you could easily read the password and username and the IP for the camera. And anybody with the IP and username and password can access the camera, and they can also access the audio from it as well, which was scary. But there were many cameras sold, and nobody caught it until way later. The Jeep hack, this was probably the scariest. The IBM security intelligence team tested the Jeep that had Sprint connection, and they were able to control the speed. They were able to slow it down, speed it up, and then also steer it off the road. And they did that all through the Sprint wireless connection to the Jeep. They didn't need any physical access to the Jeep at all. So that was fixed by Jeep, so hopefully no more incidents like that happen. But as home automation increases, so do automation in cars and connection to the world. So there's going to be other opportunities for hackers to exploit vulnerabilities in the connections. So how can you safeguard yourself against some of these? If you're purchasing a Z-Wave device, ensure it's on the new Z-Wave S2 security. So back in 2016, the Z-Wave Alliance basically announced that any Z-Wave device manufactured after April 2nd, 2017 will have a new standard of security. Before, it was only very weak encryption. Now it's going to have 2 layers of encryption and a third one that basically scrambles the encryption key. So it's impossible to brute force or do a man-in-the-middle attack with a Z-Wave device if it's on the S2 security protocol. If you're buying a device, just look at the manufacturer specs and it'll say if it's S2 or not. Especially if it's old locks, I recommend that if you have one, to replace it with one that has S2. The older locks are very easy to break into. If somebody has a Z-Wave controller that can basically brute force all the frequencies and codes, they can break into your home very easily. Another would be to secure your Wi-Fi with a secure password. A lot of people leave their Wi-Fi open, which is a bad idea. And then the other one that normally people don't do is they don't change their passwords on their routers to access them. The router has a preset username and password, which it's the same for all a manufacturer that makes a router. It's the same on all their routers. So that information is easily accessible online. So highly encourage anybody that hasn't done that to go and change the default gateway username and password. And if you have an IP camera like the D-Link or Guardzilla or TRENDNET or anything like that, please change your password on those to access them, because that information is readily available and anybody can access it just with a simple IP address. So I'm going to show you a couple of products now. So I showed you the hub already. This is a SmartThings hub. Let me maximize the screen here. SmartThings hub. It has an Ethernet connection, power cord. It will connect to any Z-Wave or Zigbee device. It has the logo on there, you can see, or maybe see the Z-Wave and Zigbee. So any light bulbs, door locks, anything like that, it'll control. And this is the Philips Hue hub, which connects to your router and a power cord, and it will connect to all Zigbee bulbs like the Philips Hue. Alright, I'm going to show you a couple products that I own. Let me make sure there's nothing after this. Yeah, just references. So this is a Philips Hue system that I have, and